Susan Collins, who is now just absolutely shocked.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? It has been, to be fair to Susan Collins, it has been so long since she voted to confirm Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett that maybe they had a really dramatic change of heart because of all the experiences that they've had over the past year.
Yeah, they
so.
had like an ayahuasca trip. They went on a retreat and they realized that now it's in our nature to restrict women's access to abortion. If we've had a personal renaissance, both of us.
Here is Susan Collins trying to, pretend like what?
No, this
old.
This is a
throwback.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Susan Collins, I should say, trying to pretend a couple of years ago that Kavanaugh's not going to overturn Roe v. Wade.
I do not believe that Brett Kavanaugh will overturn Roe.
Precedents are overturned.
He noted that Roe had been reaffirmed 19 years later by Planned Parenthood versus Casey, and that it was precedent on precedent. He said it should be extremely rare that it be overturned, and it should be an example.
So you have obviously full confidence.
I do. We talked about whether he considered Roe to be settled law. He said that he agreed with what Justice Roberts said at his nomination hearing, in which he said that it was settled law. I could not vote for a judge who had demonstrated hostility to Roe v. Wade because it would indicate a lack of respect for precedent. What Judge Kavanaugh told me, and he's the first Supreme Court nominee that I've interviewed out of 6 who has told me this, is that he views precedent not just as a legal doctrine, but as rooted in our Constitution. And he reveres our Constitution. I asked him, is it sufficient if 5 current sitting justices believe that Roe should be overturned? And he said no. I would not support a nominee who demonstrated hostility to Roe v. Wade, because that would mean to me that their judicial philosophy did not include a respect for established decision.
Yeah, I mean, but to be fair, she only said that at least a dozen times.
Yeah, she's very concerned today. I think she's reached concern level.
Full concern level.
No, concern level orange. It's been upgraded from what were the terror threats that the Bush administration had, right?
Exactly. It's the COVID colors now.
Green,
right.
yellow, orange, red.
But I remember the Bush ones were like, it was, this was an early childhood memory that they were not like in the right order or something. But regardless, keep going.
So, I mean, I don't know. Somehow Susan Collins has sort of survived. I mean, she's not up for re-election until 2026. And who knows what happens at that point. But it's important for, I guess, for people to start to build these type of pressures, because the next question is going to be, will Susan Collins, when she is a member of the majority in 2024, let's say, maybe of the Republicans, Senate Republicans, by then we may have seen the demise of the filibuster, which they will do if they only have 55 senators, the Republicans, whether she'll vote for a ban or not, on a federal ban on abortion. But there it is. I mean,
it's such tokenism too. I mean, we say that on our side all the time when someone sells their people out, but she has to feel the pressure. I just as we need to put pressure on Kyrsten Sinema, I think that this could affect maybe other Republicans. We have to look at who's up right now that might be on the fence, saying you can't get away with this, because they're playing it so hard right now, thinking this is going to help them in the midterms with turnout. My guess is I think this might backfire, and I think you guys were talking about this earlier. This might backfire this year. If student debt relief if there's any form of relief given, if Title 42 does end, as predicted, Latinos you need in many of these states, to keep the Senate and to keep Congress, you clearly need women excited and you need young people. So that is a formula right now that if Republicans keep playing it this hard, Democrats might, by some good luck, carry through and keep whatever we have together. I think this changes everything, but it also puts her on the table and anybody else who's a moderate this election cycle in the Senate. You can use her as a weapon against the others, essentially, is what I'm saying.
Right. In other words, you're saying that you cannot believe this moderate who's saying, I don't know who's up, who fits that bill, right? I mean, who would that be? In the Senate Republican.
Honestly, if we could pull that up right now, that would be.
I mean, she just got reelected. It's hard to use her as a
Murkowski
proxy.
is still, I think, 2024. I mean, I that's the point, is that I'm unclear as to like, and I was trying to make this point with our last guest that there's not like public opinion in this situation because of the way that our democracy is configured, may not be relevant. Right?
They're a as you said, Sam, and they're a minoritarian extremist party, and that's why they feel an urgency that the Democratic Party never does, and they act on that urgency, and they have stacked the court with activist judges. McConnell treated this like his life's work because it is, because now we're seeing the results and the fruits of this, and they're going to come after labor, they're going to come after gay rights, they're going to come after everything else, and that's unless the Democrats can create that urgency in terms of like electoral outcomes, I don't have faith in them or for this breaking in the right way for them, because it's like, it's like in Succession where he says, I've never seen Logan get fucked once. Like, I've never seen the Democrats really not mess things up when things have been handed to them. And so like electorally, I don't have a ton of optimism right now.
This could have relevance maybe in the Ohio race, maybe in the Pennsylvania race, depending on who.
In Congress, honestly, there's plenty of swing districts right now. I mean, I'm not even just talking about Senate. It's not about Susan Collins herself. It's not about Lisa Murkowski or these women who are complete tokens of the Republicans right now. It is about using them as, same thing with Mitt Romney. Using them as, you're not getting a low taxes Republican. When you're getting the whole thing, you're getting QAnon, you're getting the Trump movement.
There's no such thing in practice as a moderate Republican, because they are supporting a party and the moderates in the party always lose. And so it doesn't matter that Susan Collins is a moderate on abortion because it went away anyways. They don't have the power within their party to steer anything. And so,
but it's also difficult for Democrats to make this case when they're in power and they're in charge of the presidency and they're in charge of Congress. Like for a regular voter, this is a really difficult case to make and to make it about the Republicans right now. I really do think so.
But historically, Democrats don't win because they put the work in. Historically, they win when the Republicans, at least in the last 40 years, overplay their hand. It's not because suddenly overnight they decide to try. They never try.
No, I know.
Oh, cool. You bought a bunch of ads. Congratulations. Great job. You ran, Obama around the country to do some rallies. It helps the little excitement. Honestly, if these three things together, student loans, Title 42, and the Supreme Court, Reversal happen, this might be the coalition of energy needed in a lot of these tight districts to keep the majority. I'm not saying it's definite, but you look at the Southwest, you need that Latino support to show up to a certain percentage. They're so down to the data. They just need a certain percentage for them to turn out. They need a certain percentage of women to stay excited. And of course, the student loans would keep a certain percentage of young people together. I don't like that strategy. I think it's lazy. I think, it's compromise so you can keep all the other bad deals going. But, it could prevent the Handmaid's Tale dream from taking hold, which it has, obviously.
Matt made a good point before the move into the fun half. I'm really curious as to what Clyburn is saying these days about his going around and supporting Henry Cuellar.
How about Nancy Pelosi?
Or Pelosi, for that matter. I mean, this is... And, I want to just... and I know this is not necessarily apropos of anything, but 18 years ago now, when Hillary Clinton was preparing to run in 2008, she made a tact toward the right, saying that we need to meet conservatives halfway on abortion.
Yeah.
And I raise that only because that wing of the party is ostensibly criticized or is associated with abortion being a premier right. And the idea, and I hope that we are far, far past this, the idea that you can compromise with conservatives on this in any fashion, even saying like, we need to make abortion, like rare and, accessible, but rare or whatever it is. Like, I mean, look, nobody wants to have a medical procedure. Yeah. We're not go around saying like, we need to also make appendectomies rare.
Right.
Okay. It's a medical procedure.
Except for all your plastic surgery, you did that.
Except for all the plastic surgery. But the point is, it's a medical procedure. And when we fall into this trap of we want to make it rare because of the moral implications of it, we are accepting the conservative position on this. And those days are over. There is no compromise with conservatives on these fundamental questions because they are fundamentalists, period.
Well, in part, but also the country has become, let's just give them a little bit here, has become much more progressive. You have, a generation that's nearing 40 that is far more progressive. So Tim Kaine being a choice in 2016 for vice president, so somebody who has a nice guy, horrendous record on choice. Horrendous. So for Hillary Clinton, because she wanted to win Virginia, how'd that work out for her, by the way? Tim Kaine, when he got elected, maybe he needed to be a little bit more conservative when it came to quote unquote family values. Maybe back then. But this is not the country that we're looking at today. You look at the polls, you look at the crosstabs, people support abortion access. And part of this is also because the Republicans have gone too far, because they're not willing to compromise and they've overplayed their hands, that people realize abortion access means having access to a clinic and women's health clinics. It's much more. It's a symbol.